All right, are we ready to go?
Let's give a couple of seconds for people to log on.
They have the time correct. Well, the other day at the city meeting, I started right on time. Remember, the mayor was late.
You did good. All right, well, we're at 6:01. We're going to go ahead and get started. I turn it over to Board President Larson to start the meeting.
Welcome, everyone, to the November 16th community meeting. I'll call roll, even though I think I can see everyone on the Zoom. Vice President Miller, Trustee Makashi, Trustee Carrion, and Trustee Maher. They all have indicated that they're present by waving their hands. So with that, would you all join me in the pledge, saying the Pledge of Allegiance? And we have a flag behind Assistant Superintendent Julio Hernandez's shoulder there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So yes, tonight is about hearing from you. Staff is here to answer questions. The board, we do not have items agendized, so the board will not be engaging in conversation on any of the topics. We're here to learn about some of the issues that you care about and to listen to what staff has to say when they're answering your questions. Typically, items that we learn about in these sessions might become future board agenda items, or they'll be reported on in staff reports that the superintendent sends out on a weekly basis. And if you're not receiving those, please contact Patrick Gannon and make sure you get signed up. They're very full of lots of information that I know everybody would love to be aware of. So with that, I will seek a motion to approve the agenda tonight. Steve Maher has moved to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Trustee Makashi has seconded it. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I see unanimous. Mr. Miller? I did not see you.
Yes, I said aye.
You said
Can you hear
aye.
me?
You were muted. We're very quiet.
Yeah.
All right, that's unanimous approval of the agenda. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hagland for the conversation.
Very good. Patrick, if you could open the presentation. We'll go ahead and get started. So tonight we're going to do a little bit of introductions. I wanted to make sure that everybody knows how to submit a question or a comment. And you do so by clicking on that link or by the link that's on the agenda posted on the district's website. We're going to tonight go over our 5 organizational goals, provide updates on Measure I-1, the trustee area elections, and our ongoing COVID response. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over real briefly to President Larson.
Well, I welcome everyone again. So with us tonight, we have Dr. Hagland, our superintendent of schools. We have Assistant Superintendent Julio Hernandez of Human Resources, Assistant Superintendent Ahmed Sheikul Islami, who's our basically our Chief Financial Officer, our Chief Business Officer, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Ed Dialazo, who's in charge of Student Support Services, and Dr. Janelle Woodward, who is our Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And also joining us to help out with the meeting is Patrick Gannon, who is our Coordinator of Communication and Community Engagement.
Thank you.
I think we've got, oh, well, and we called their names earlier, but again, we have Vice President Mark Miller, trustees Steve Maher, Kelly Mukashi, and Mary Jo Carrion, and I am Jill Larson, currently serving as the board president. Thank you.
All right, next slide, Patrick. So one of the important documents that we use in this district is an organizational work plan that guides our work throughout the year. It helps the board and community know what actions staff are engaged in to address our annual goals, and really aligns the actions strategically across the organization so that we're all rowing the boat in a common direction, which is important. It also provides a data resource for us to monitor progress on, because we are engaged in a continuous improvement process. The organization work plan represents a live document that is edited a few times each year and then revised for the beginning of the next year. And so we are on our fourth year of the organizational work plan, and with a few new goals this year, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to talk about goal 1 to Dr. Janelle Woodward.
Thank you, Dr. Haglund, and good evening, President Larson, trustees, Superintendent Haglund, and Cabinet and Pleasanton community. So it is my pleasure this evening to talk about organizational goal 1, which is to leverage personalized learning strategies and growth-based assessments to increase achievement and identify opportunity gaps. Personalized learning is an educational approach that aims to customize learning for each student's strengths, needs, skills, and interests. And we often refer to this as differentiated instruction. And this does not replace an IEP or 504 or intervention programs. It is a strategy, it is a way of teaching our students. Some of the key initiatives underway to meet this goal this year include expanded training and support for teachers and administrators in the use of the MAP growth assessment through the interpretation of related reports in order to best understand instructional strategies and increase parent-guardian understanding of such reports. We recently held a MAP family night to support parents, and the MAP family reports are now available in the parent portal in Q under the Documents tab. As well, we are finalizing the selection of essential standards per site in grades K through 12 this year in reading and math. And we continue to engage in equitable grading practices with a focus on accurate assessment of student learning. We have a grading for equity cohort that has been meeting this year, and we provided grading for equity professional development for all secondary teachers with Joe Feldman on November 1st. While reviewing grades from our progress reports, we were pleased to see that the number of failing grades has decreased as compared to the prior year during remote learning. And although grades show a marked improvement from remote learning conditions, the number of D's and F's are something we're still keeping our eyes on and will seek to continue to minimize as we go forward this year. Our letters training provided and will continue to provide transitional kindergarten through 2nd grade, including intervention specialists and resource teachers with the knowledge and tools to implement a comprehensive early literacy program. And this year, I'm very pleased to say we have approximately 80 teachers participating in this rigorous professional development. As well, we're underway with EL Achieve, which is designated English language development professional education for our staff so that we can deliver quality English language development to our English learners every day. And in all of these areas, quality professional development has been provided, and we are very grateful for the opportunity to serve our teachers, our students, and our parents by engaging in this manner. Now I'll pass it to Mr. Dialazzo, Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, who will walk us through the next goal.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Woodward, and good evening, President Larson, trustees, Superintendent Haglund, staff, and community. So I have the opportunity to talk about organizational goal number 2, which is strengthen intervention and support structures to effectively improve the physical, mental, and social wellness of students families, and staff. So in my division, the Student Support Services Division, we have provided or established many opportunities for supporting this goal. So when we think about this goal, we've developed and implemented instructional strategies, resources. We've developed websites that contain educational trainings, professional development, and also curriculum. So we look through the social emotional lens, and we look through the lens of mental health supports, and how do we support our students and staff and families who may need this extra level of service. So the framework that we talk about often is called the multi-tier system of support. Some of you may have heard that. Some of you may have heard MTSS. And within that framework, we look at many things, academics, of course, but also behavioral and social emotional supports for our students. Some examples of curriculum that we have provided to our staff, and including some professional development. We have curriculum called Kimochis, which is for our preschool and transitional kindergarten age students. Second Step, which is for our kindergarten to 5th grade students. And then Character Strong, which is for our secondary or 6th grade to 12th grade students. This is all social emotional curriculum. It really is integrated into the lessons during the day in many of our classrooms, again, to support that mental health component of our work with our kids. Professional development has been provided this year on that curriculum, and specifically on August 5th, we had actually a presenter from Alameda County Office of Education that we partnered with, who came and talked to us and was the keynote on all the mental health supports and services that the county can bring. This year, we started our wellness centers at our high schools, and I was actually able to visit one of them at Foothill earlier this week, and it's just being run so well by our staff. So I'm really proud of that. If any of our staff at the high schools are willing to go to those or see those wellness centers going, you could see the supports that it brings to our students. So I'm really proud of the work that's being done there. So we have a website, our PUSD website, that has a lot of information regarding wellness, but other mental health related resources that come to mind that I want to point out is we do have a PUSD anonymous tip line. Sometimes our students and staff or parents have something to report, maybe about another student and potentially in crisis. We have that tip line that's available to our students and staff, again, to make that call. We also have a crisis support hotline. If you look on the back of your student's ID card, there should be a phone number on there for crisis support. Again, just another pathway that our students and staff and families can access services for our kids related to mental health. Other resources, we have a partnership, I believe it's in year 3 or 4 now, with a company called Care Solace. That's CARSOLACE. And Care Solace is a concierge 24/7 company that can take calls, again, at any time from staff, students, and families for anybody that is wanting to connect to services that are within our community. So they work with you, whoever is calling, to really try and connect you with services, counselors, therapists in the area, and then they work out the billing and all the other kind of logistics with it. So it's been a really great service, and I often share the usage of Care Solace, and it's a pretty good service for our families. And I say that because it's getting a lot of use. We also have a wellness policy, and that policy was recently revised and approved by our board in February of 2021. So we have in that policy health education, physical activity education, health services, nutrition services, and school safety as part of that policy. Really outlined some really good work around wellness for our students. There is a wellness committee that is meeting quarterly this year to review that policy and implement all the components of that policy. Lastly, we have had some staff presentations specifically on some educational opportunities for our staff and students, bullying prevention, suicide prevention, And then also a lot, our work around TUPE, which is our tobacco and drug use prevention program. We've had a lot of trainings with our staff and students to help address any potential drug issues that may be in our community. And then lastly, we do have parent and guardian education videos, and those are all on our website. And we have an excellent staff of social workers that have put a lot of this information together. Things like bullying prevention for parents, parent or caregiver education series on suicide prevention, supporting your anxious child, supporting your child struggling with depression. Again, all of this can be found on our website in student services, and hopefully some of that information is useful for the community. So I'll stop there, and now I will turn it over to, I believe, back to Dr. Haglund. Am I right? You're on mute, Dr. Haglund.
Thank you for the reminder. So Patrick, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and pop out of the presentation real quick and into the organizational work plan from the website. I want to show people how to be able to navigate to that website. So if you can pull up the district website first. Our third goal that we're talking about, that we write about in the organizational work plan, and the focus of our work is to understand the systemic barriers to equity and inclusion in order to work strategically to deconstruct those barriers. And so if you go to the front page of the website, you'll see the organizational work plan. You click there, it brings up not just this year's work plan, but previous year's work plan. And I want to have you click on this year's work plan, Patrick, so that we can show just real briefly. I want to show the community how this document works. You can see the 5 organizational goals on the first page right there. And then as he scrolls down, you'll see that goal number 1 appears and various key objectives that the district is working on, followed by the actions that are being taken by each of the division. Go ahead and keep scrolling down. You'll see teaching and learning actions related to goal 1. You'll start to see student support services actions related to goal number 1. You'll then see the business services and human resources actions related to goal 1, actions from the superintendent's office, and new this year are actions that are being taken by the board of trustees. And so I share this with you because it's important you realize that while we could list a whole bunch of activities that we're engaged in, I really would prefer that you understand where to find this document so you can see the level of detail that the organization digs down to and in relationship to each of the goals. So real quickly, Patrick, scroll down to goal number 3, which is what we're talking about. And in goal number 3, you're going to see a lot of activities related to our equity workshops that we're engaged in, both with the board. At the board level, we have special board workshops related to equity work. We're also doing similar work with our principals and leaders across the district and staff. We're also engaged with secondary teachers in grading for equity work, which is very important work, especially when we're trying to deal with what the state calls significant disproportionality relating to students of color, students in poverty, that are disproportionately referred to both special education programs and disciplinary action. And so this goal is really very important to us, but it's also very comprehensive. And so at your leisure, I encourage you to go to the organizational work plan and spend some time in each of the goal areas to really learn more about what the different divisions are doing to address each of the goals. And again, important to note that this year's organizational work plan includes specific actions being taken by the Board of Trustees to support that work across the district. So with that, Patrick, we can jump back to the presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hernandez for goal number 4.
Thank you, Dr. Haglund. Good to see everybody. In HR, we recognize that differences in age, race, gender, nationality, sexual orientation, physical ability, thinking style, and background bring richness to our school district. And that this diversity brings strength and understanding to our students and to our community. In HR, we are committed to ensure that we have a high quality, diverse workforce, not only in classified, but in the teaching as well as in the administrative fields. To that end, HR has been working to develop academies and currently have 3 active academies in our school district. One is aspiring administrators to support those who are not in admin, who may be looking to get into the administrative field, as well as administrators who are looking to have professional growth. And we also have a classified academy to support our classified employees who are looking to progress. In each of these academies, we are instilling in them the need to understand and appreciate diversity, both not only in hiring, but in dealing with one another in this diverse school district. It is also our goal to include our union partners in revisiting and looking at our job descriptions to ensure that this mantra and this need of ensuring some diversity in our school district exists, not only as a thought, but also as a practice in our job descriptions. So our goal, again, is to try to diversify our school district and our workforce, but also ensure that we have high quality candidates and employees in our school district as well. Thank you, Dr. Haglund.
All right.
Goal number 5 is going to be addressed by Mr. Gannon. Go ahead, Patrick.
Thanks, David. So my name's Patrick. I'm the communications coordinator. You probably get emails from me and hopefully you recognize my face. So our 5th organizational goal is something that I that I hold dear to my heart, which is just to sustain effective customer service, communication, and stakeholder engagement. And I wanted to call out, since we're in the educational field, customer service is something that is more commonly associated with business organizations. But when we think about customer service, our focus is really on creating opportunities for meaningful two-way engagement with our stakeholders, and that's all of our staff members, our students, our families, and our broader community. And one of the ways that we do this, and that we've done over the last couple of years, is through our annual stakeholder survey. And if you may recall, we recently shared the results of our latest survey from 2021 in the spring. And we look forward to sharing, to administering our next survey in spring 2022. And to follow David's lead, I just wanted to show everybody, because in addition to sharing these results with the board, we also want to make sure that they're available to our community. So just to walk everyone through, and please share this with anyone who might be interested in thumbing through these results, because it was our presentation was about 40 slides. The report is almost 200. So it's under communications, and that's me and just about everybody else in the district too. But you can navigate to this PUSD stakeholder survey. This is a copy of the presentation that we gave, and the first link is the full report, and that is the nearly 200 pages of the report. And we celebrated some highlights of that report last month. Like I said, we were really, really happy to see And this speaks to the work of everyone, in this virtual room, down to, our parents, our teachers, our principals, and that across the board, our stakeholders felt that they were connected and felt safe at school, which is huge coming out. We're still kind of making our way through this pandemic. Another thing that, speaks to, again, the efforts district-wide was just the general improvement that we saw in the open and effective lines of communication. And I'm sure everyone remembers the town halls that we held pretty much weekly, and providing whatever information we could with our community, as it relates to how we continue to serve all of our stakeholders. Aside from the survey, we have a new communications platform that we as a district use, and our school sites use for their school-related communications, and that's called Parent Square. It's something that parents can use via email. We also have a Parent Square app that's available for parents on both Android and Apple phones. For our middle and high school students, there's also a Student Square app, which is really cool because I don't think that students use email anymore. And that's a way, it's just a great way. And we're trying to, we've had this for a couple months, but we're trying to raise awareness of that tool. And as it relates to equity, it gives us the ability to automatically translate all of our communications to a family's home language, which has been huge for us. We've relied on our amazing parent liaisons to translate messages that we have needed to push out, sometimes immediately, but this gives us another tool in our tool belt to really serve all of our each of our students, and meet our families where they are. So I think that's all from me. I will hand it over to Mr. Sheikh-ul-Islami.
Thank you, Patrick. Just would like to provide some updates on our Measure I-1 bond program. And we are in the 4th year of this bond program, and we are bearing the fruits of the hard work. And so we're seeing completion soon of our Amador Valley and Foothill High School buildings. And we've already started on the Hart Middle School. We've opened up the parking lot, and they are doing site work for the building. And so that science building should come online in September. The Leidixon rebuild is ongoing. The playground areas opened up, 2 buildings have opened up, and we're building the kindergarten and administration wings and library as well. Many other projects have been going on and being turned over for use, including our HVAC and roofing projects throughout district-wide technology. It helped us get through the pandemic with the COVID and the high quality Wi-Fi systems that we had, as well as other really deep infrastructure work around our telecommunications, voice over IP, clock BL, security systems, camera systems, fencing throughout, and fire alarm improvements. And so the projects are really moving forward well. We have a strong team working on them, and the community can see the results as they pass the schools now. Next slide, please. 2 other important updates that the community should be aware of is we are engaging in an update to our facility master plan process. As we know, Measure I-1 it really doesn't address all of our needs that the district has. And the process to update that facility master plan and that next set of projects is a continual cyclical process. And so we're taking off from what we have accomplished under Measure I-1 and now engaging in a broad stakeholder with many community members, teachers and staff and administrators and departments being discussed as to what that next set of projects, and looking at our schools very holistically, looking at our demographic reports and looking at new schools and many other things that we need to. And so that's a process we're engaged with, and there'll be many opportunities for the community to be a part of that. The other update that I want to bring to everyone's attention is the board has engaged in a process and passed a resolution to move our district from at-large elections to trustee by area elections. And the best way I could probably represent that is through that graph. And so the graph you see above, shows, a typical district, it could be ours, and the population of people. And so we vote for our 5 members currently at large. And so we are looking at moving to by area. So the populations would be equal in those areas. However, each area would vote for a board member in their new area. And so that process has we hire a demographic expert, and we have attorneys that help the community look at the census data, come up with potential mapping scenarios of where these election areas can be. And then through a very public process, finally we reach a map that the board then finally approves, and then that becomes the new election process. There is a lot of community engagement in that, and we had our first community engagement meeting last week. And this week there'll be a board meeting which will present the similar material. And if you go to that tiny URL, and this presentation is available, will be available on our website, you can access all the information about the process and all the meetings. And maybe Patrick, if you can go back to the our website and show that, that might be kind of helpful for everyone. Yeah, there you go. So it's under departments, Board of Trustees. And I think we've actually, there's a quick link right at the beginning as well. And so in this, we give a little bit of background information, as well as opportunities to connect and provide information and be on our news list server, as well as all the meeting times and information. If there's a meeting that's already completed, we'll have the recording up as well. And so that, they'll, if you miss something, you can catch it. Patrick, that's me again, I guess. So that's the process. Those are two major processes that are underway, and we look forward to engagement and your input. I'll turn it over back to you, Patrick. I guess I got to send it back to Assistant Superintendent Ed Dialazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Sheikh Al-Islami. So we wanted to briefly update all of you on our COVID response efforts. I want to start out with the goal of COVID response team is to keep our students and staff safe, and also to keep our students in school as best as we can. So to that end, we continue to follow the state and county guidelines. But a couple of updates for tonight. So as most of you probably know, the vaccines for our 5 to 11-year-olds are now available. So we've taken the opportunity to partner with the City of Pleasanton and Safeway to host a vaccine clinic. So that's coming up next week, November 23rd. And we have sent out the registration information through our eConnect, also through the schools. If you haven't seen that, maybe Patrick, you can send that out again on the eConnect just to make sure folks have received it. I do know folks have received it because we're already almost at capacity. So we're planning on maybe opening more hours. So as of today, I think we're already at 500 students who have signed up for that November 23rd clinic. And then the second dose will be in December 14th. So thank you to the community for going on there and registering your kids. We really appreciate that. Regarding our staff and the state public health officer order, we do have a requirement, and this actually came into effect on October 15th of 2021, where school staff are required to provide vaccine verification. And if staff are unable to provide that verification, then the staff member would have to test weekly. So we've been working with the Human Resources Department to get that initiative going, and it's been in effect. Actually, we started a little bit early. We started the week before October 15th to start that process. And so again, working with HR, working with our site principals and our departments to make sure that we are meeting that mandate. Regarding students, I'll take a little bit of time here because this is still a little complex, a little complicated, and so we don't want to go through this too quickly. So I'll kind of take my time a little bit here. So the governor's mandate now does require vaccination for our students. So I'll just start there. The requirement, however, does not go into effect until the start of the new academic term following full FDA approval of that grade span. So I essentially just read that bullet, but that's very, very important because people have heard, oh, when does this go into effect? January 1st? Does it go into effect July 1st, 2022? So what we do know is for our older students in grades 7 to 12, that potentially can go into effect January 1st if we can get that FDA approval. It's unlikely. It's unlikely. So if we get the approval here soon, if we read that first bullet, it's the start of the academic term following full FDA approval. So we'd have to get approved here pretty quickly before January 1st. So more than likely, even for our older kids, this vaccination requirement will probably take an effect July 1st, 2022. So with that said, for our students in grades K6, where the vaccine for our 5 to 11-year-olds, which is mostly the K6 group, just got approved, it would be probably July 1st as well that it would become effective. However, again, pending that full FDA approval, I believe that is the what's currently approved is for the emergency vaccination. So again, wanted to take longer on those bullets because it is a little bit complex. Patrick, next page. The resources here, I'll skip down to that section, are really good. So there is an infographic. Patrick, do you want to just click that student vaccination mandate, the last one, Yeah. So this one is actually helps me a lot, infographic, just kind of looking at it, and you can see the information I just provided for you. Again, really the mandate is contingent on that full FDA approval. So this is in the presentation, and please feel free to take a look at that when you have the opportunity. Go back to the slide, Patrick. All right, so in terms of next steps for COVID response, we are in the midst of it. We are doing our best. We have amazing staff led by our pandemic manager, Kelly French, and our pandemic service coordinator, Hannah Mastel, and their team, just amazing work. And again, the teachers, the administrators, classified staff at the school sites have just been responding so well, including the students and the families. So thank you all for your good work in helping us try to manage as best as we can our COVID response. So like I said, this page is full of the resources of the current information that I provided to you, as well as our PUSD COVID-19 website. So with that, I believe we are at the end. I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Haglund.
Thank you, Mr. Dialazzo, and thank you everybody for providing such detailed report outs to the community. So we have saved some time in our meeting tonight to allow for questions. And we do need you to fill out the comment card with your questions so that it can be entered into the record, since this is a public board meeting. So Patrick, would you please step back through how people would access that card? So it is there on the presentation, but let's go to the website and show them how they'd step to the agenda to the card. How's that? Going back to the district website.
Sorry, I'm trying to navigate my tabs.
You have too many tabs open, Patrick.
Yeah.
So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the virtual regular, or right there, the special board meeting. You click there. And then you can see the yellow comment card. And I believe we had one comment prior to the meeting started. Is that true?
That is true, Dr. Hagland.
Well, let's
So
see
we
if
can,
that individual is with us tonight.
sure. So the comment came from Danny. I don't see anyone by that specific name, Danny Rotter. So if you are with us and want to just use that raise hand function, we can give you the ability to speak and either ask your question or make a comment. And I was told while we're waiting, the amazing Lenita Villasenor has already posted a copy of the presentation to the board agenda. So if you navigate to this page, just like we showed a second ago, you can click the meeting agenda and you can access this presentation, and absolutely feel free to share with anybody who wasn't able to join us. And recording of this meeting will also be shared afterwards as well. So I do not see any hands. Let me check one more thing. Let me stop sharing. All right, sorry, I did want to I see we had one caller. Just want to make sure that their number wasn't the number of our public commenter, and it was not. So I will also put the link to the public comment form in the chat, just so folks can access it easily. Otherwise, we are happy to give you part of your evening back to you.
Patrick, we have a raised hand in the participant list. I don't know how you want to manage collecting the information that we need.
We can be flexible, and I can follow up with Christine if you'd be so kind. We do want to make sure that we hear everybody that wants to be heard. So Christine, I'll give you the ability to speak. Go ahead and ask your question or provide your comment.
What is the school district's position on religious exemptions? Did you hear my question?
Yes, Christine, thank you. Great question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. So great question. The issue is not so much what the district's position is on religious exemptions, it's what the governor's order does with regards to both personal exemptions and medical exemptions and religious exemptions. And as it stands right now, and Ed, you can correct me, but as it stands right now, because the legislature has not yet taken action to include the COVID vaccine with the state mandated vaccines, there is room for those personal objections. Did I get that right, Ed?
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, that infographic that I asked Patrick to look at or show us has that information at the bottom of that infographic. So essentially, yes, Dr. Haglund, exemptions exist at this point, medical, religious, and actually personal, which I don't quite know what that definition is, but those exemptions exist because the mandate is currently a governor's mandate, not a legislated law at this point. So right there, thank you, Patrick. So at the bottom there, it says exemptions. Those are currently in effect for the vaccination mandate, again, because it is a governor's mandate and not the legislature. So we can anticipate that once or if this becomes law, it's legislated and becomes law, then there would be no exemptions for religious and personal requests. So because that's what is currently true for the shots for school vaccinations that are currently required in the state of California, that I believe there's 10 of them, 10 vaccinations that requires our students to have prior to starting school. So there are no religious or personal exemptions. There is a medical exemption, but you need a medical doctor to provide that exemption to us so that a student can be exempt. So again, as I said earlier, it is a little bit complex, but again, I go back to this infographic because it's very informative and fairly clear. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Christine. And I am keeping tabs on I don't see any additional public comments, but if anyone does have
You can go ahead and raise your hand and we can get back to you for the details to fill out the form later.
yes, thank you, David.
Sorry.
No, you beat me to the punch.
All right. Are there any more on the comment cards, Patrick?
There are none.
And
No new
seeing no further raised hands in the chat, I'll turn it back over to Board President Larson.
Well, as much as I do like to have an early evening, I hope that folks who did have questions felt that they were able to ask them. I was looking at the list of the attendees, and pretty soon I was going to do a teacher move and just start calling on people, but I won't do that. I'll let Mary Jo do that next time. So with that, thank you guys for attending and staff for the update. We do have a regular school board meeting on Thursday, whatever it is, 18th. And that the open session will begin at 6 p.m. And we will be there in person, but as it stands now, because of the still the state of emergency, the public will join us via Zoom. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 6:51. Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Ahmad and Mark, do you want to stay on for a minute?